All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the Ask Mama podcast where we let the internet ask my mama questions. If you would like to submit your questions for next week's show, you can DM us on our TikTok or Instagram page, which is Ask Mama Podcast. Welcome back. This is going to be a pretty serious episode, I think. We're talking about some stuff that has just really hit us all hard, and but these are the things that we need to discuss and take time to think about and just give our opinions on, because they're very serious matters, not only within the black community but within the world itself, society. The direction society is going currently is a sad state of affairs, and it's very difficult to like keep that hope alive. And so we need to discuss it and talk about it so that we can also encourage one another as well. So we're going to get into this episode starting with 5 minutes of trash. And the trash in this 5 minutes is the individual that murdered a 19-year-old girl because she did not want him. She rejected him. And so he stabbed her to death and attempted to stab to death her twin sister, but her twin sister survived. Her name is Samaya Spain. And, I was just minding my own business, flipping through TikTok, and the story came up, and I just broke down. It hit me really hard because I could recount the times when I tried to nicely reject someone that I just wasn't interested in, and being berated, cussed out, and just treated very badly for doing so. And to imagine that happening was just, it could have easily happened. And so I just want to kind of open it up. And we'll just start with, how did you feel when you first heard of the story, Mom?
Well, of course, like you, I felt awful. And it's nothing new. Uh, Guys have been doing this for a long time. I remember when I was in high school, a really beautiful girl, smart, beautiful. She broke up with her boyfriend, and he killed her, stabbed her to death. And it's just nothing new to be that cowardice and have a problem like that. If my son had ever done something like that, I would just feel awful and ask myself, where did I go wrong? It doesn't mean that his parents are bad. He could just have mental illness, but no one got him the help he obviously needed. But it doesn't take away from the pain that this guy has caused a family forever. Their lives are changed forever, and the pain, they'll have to live with that for the rest of their lives. It's so senseless to not be able to move on because someone's not interested. Oh my gosh. I in myself, I have no point of reference for that type of behavior. I can't even imagine doing something like that because someone wasn't interested in me. It's horrific, and it was very painful to see. Beautiful little girl.
Lamar?
Well, first, my feeling was disgust and hurt, profound hurt, because who who could have seen this coming? And her brother was there, her twin sister was there, and just when you thought you got away, they were still out there. Um, I think it speaks volumes on the lack of emotional discipline that our young males are taught or not taught to have. No lack of really a true healthy role model teaching you, okay, it's okay to be rejected. You know, it's okay if somebody doesn't want to do anything with you. That's all right. Move on.
That's
I think, this, like we've said before in past episodes, the instantaneous gratification that we all get from social media, the imagery we get has desensitized us. We don't have any, feelings of sacredness for life. Just in general, this music. And then I also wanted, he could have been under the influence. I know of alcohol, of drugs too. And then I wanted to pinpoint something as I thought about this. And I want to get you all's thought process on this. In the 80s, right? We all know about the 80s. We all know about the crack epidemic.
right.
And we all know that babies were born out of this. Now we're dealing with the offspring of
True.
that.
True.
And so we wonder why there's so much breakdown. But when you talk about that, so now you're going from situations where there was one parent in the household, and then crack was introduced, and now there's no parents. So there's no guidance. And that continues generation after generation. So it's a lot to contend with, and I'm just so hurt that young lady had to lose her life because of a simple no. It don't matter how she said it. A no is a no. I think we need to advocate for mental health to be a norm in our communities for certain.
Absolutely.
I think that this is the I agree about the 80s and drugs, and that's always going to play a part in every generation's development because it just got worse and worse. Like 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, drugs were just kept getting worse, and there's so many drugs out here. So that's definitely in the water. However, I think that majority of this has to do with the extreme entitlement of men today. Misogynistic extreme. This is a misogynistic extreme of entitlement. And you see, the reason why the story wasn't surprising to me or my friends or other young women online was because this is the kind of vitriol we hear from men our age and younger every single day. They're online spewing out vitriol, spewing out hate for black women every single day online, by the thousands, by the millions. And there's no way that you can do that or listen to that every day and not be affected and not feel entitled to a woman when you leave your house. If all you're listening to is a bunch of toxic men telling you that you deserve a woman to obey you and do for you and blah, blah, blah. And, these women are lucky to have us and they, this, that, and the third. All of this. You listen to that every day. You live by that. You grow up with that in your home or on your phone. And the results are the same. The results are that men are more violent than I have ever seen in my life. And literally, I can go from my high school year to college years to now and see an increase in violence of stories from my other friends and situations that I've been in. Terrifying moments. Just trying to date someone or just trying to break up with someone, just saying no to someone. These basic things that should be allowed to happen are terrifying moments now for women.
Awful.
And men as a whole need to take accountability for all these toxic men, because I can't do it. I can sit here all day and tell men what they should do and how they need to be better, you know, and how they need to talk to each other and lift each other up in positive ways and speak positively to each other. I can say that until my voice gives out. Yeah. But just like black people know that it's white people that have to change for racism to end, that there's nothing we can do, it's their work that needs to happen. It's the same with this. The violence of men has to be stopped and taken care of by men. If you know, you're always telling us that all men ain't like that and all men ain't this, we already know that. However, if you're a good man, what are you doing to ensure that your friends who you know aren't good are getting their lives right, are treating their wives and their girlfriends correctly? Call them out. Do you call them out on their BS? I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? So I think that men, good men, if you think you're good, then you need to take accountability for this, because this is somebody's daughter. This is somebody's baby that is gone. And all she did was say no because she wasn't interested in this older man while she was out with her family.
With her family.
And so for me, end of the day, accountability. All men should be disgusted by this story. And the thousands of stories that have come out this year that are the same. And you need to do something about it. You need to talk to your male friends. You need to talk to all the young men in your lives. If you know, you need to mentor young men. Why don't y'all sign up to be coaches for football teams and basketball teams and soccer teams and whatever kind of team?
That's it.
Why don't you go out and actively try to talk to young men? The barbershop, you know, the mall, whatever y'all are out here doing, when you're just hanging out with your friends and maybe your little nephews come over, you need to talk to your nephews. You need to talk to your sons. You need to have real conversations. Y'all need to do it.
And they need to bring this story up and test the water. See how these young men feel about it.
That's the conversation. That's what I'm saying. Accountability on y'all's end. I don't want to hear no more. I don't want to, because the women, we already know what needs to happen, right? We only are afraid because of you. I can't go out at night. I don't think to myself, oh man, if I go out late at night by myself, what if a woman messes with me? No, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, I can't go out when it gets dark by myself because a man could come out of nowhere, attack me, and that's it for me. Women are only afraid in life because of the violence of men. That means that men have to take a real look at themselves and say, okay, I'm not like that, but I know my friend over here has an issue. I know this dude has said some slick stuff, and this guy said, you know your friends. You know your male family members. Stop pretending. Because it's the same. It's the same thing as the racist stuff. Like white people talking about, I'm not racist, but you know your mama is. You know your daddy is. So guess what? You are part of the problem too. And if black people can say that about white people, then women should be able to say it about men.
Y'all better fix this.
And you know, I've seen this happen in real time with a friend of mine that I was at a bar with more than once, okay? To the point where me, had to step in and say, hey, I think you're making her feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And he was like, oh, he finally got it.
Right.
Because she was saying no, and he literally was like, nah, F that. So what about such and such? And I was like, and nobody stood up. See? Nobody said a word.
But you did.
But I did.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, and somebody has to have the courage.
And that's what I was getting to. Because a man understands that a conflict with another man can equal violence quickly.
Right.
And I think a lot of men are just not brave enough to step in.
That's horrifying.
And say, yo, chill out.
Right.
Then what is your definition of a man? That would be my next response, because men is always telling me that, to be a man, you got to be strong. You got to be resilient. You got to have courage. You got to do this, that, and the third. So the man that you're describing in my head would definitely not allow for his friends to disrespect a woman in his presence.
Right.
And I don't know if this guy was with some of his
friends.
He was.
They should have stepped in. Come on,
That's
dude.
my point. That's why I brought it up.
They stepped up, but they stepped up to have a brawl with the other two people, with her sister
that
and
was
brother.
trying to defend her.
See, and so
they should be going to jail too.
Yes.
They really should.
Yes.
But this is the mentality, because even, there's so many stories. There was a story about another girl who literally got punched in the face. And a bunch of dudes stood outside
And
the club
watched it.
and watched it, laughed at it,
That is
took pictures and video and posted it.
Not okay.
The protection, and I have to get specific, because I don't read these type of stories. I only read these type of stories about black women. It's only us.
Yeah.
Now, I know you can go and you can find some story, but I'm talking about the past few years, the level of disrespect in public that black women have been shown when it comes to male violence is beyond.
You know what?
That's terrible.
And this might be an unpopular opinion, and you all might not like this. But I think the problem also is that a lot of our men are raised solely by women. And so with that, they don't have the tools necessary. They think, well, let me jump on this bandwagon, because they don't possess the bravery and the courage that it takes, because no man has shown them the right or wrong way to be. So, for instance, there's a difference when you get mad and you go to a store or wherever and you cuss out the person, right? You might be able to walk away scot-free. If I do that, as being Lamar, they might shoot me, because I'm already deemed as dangerous. Black man equals danger. I know that. But if you're not raised with that thought process, and I've heard people say, to a boy, if she hit you, knock her out. I've heard that mother say that.
Yeah, see, I've
heard it.
That's crazy.
I hear what you're saying, but this is one of those situations that.
And I'm not saying that.
I know I'm saying,
that,
but this situation specifically is not one of those blanketed situations, because I specifically know several men raised by women who are they are exceptional, and they treat women with nothing but respect. They don't allow any kind of nonsense. So what I'm saying is, I don't think that that's the common denominator, because there's way too many men that are just exceptional men who were raised by just a mother.
Absolutely.
But my point is that what it comes down to is the type of mother. And so because for the black community, if we said it was because of the single mother home, then nothing would be good. We would all be up a creek, because most of us were raised by a single mother.
Yeah.
So the common denominator is what type of mother you have. I believe that this is due to the women who had kids and didn't really want kids and was still out here partying instead of raising their kids. Because what happens is, on both sides, whether you have a son or a daughter, they don't have the skills necessary to navigate the world. Period. And that's if they're raised just by a father that don't care or a mother that don't care. If the mother or father don't care, this is the result. So that's my point. I don't think it's, of course, it would be good if all kids had mothers and fathers, but even for me, like not having a real father in my life, somebody that I could depend on and look up to and be the definition of the man that I was looking for, I could have allowed that, the non-existence of that in my life to dictate what kind of man I would end up with or what kind of man I would date. However, my mother,
as a mother,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, however, my mother told me how I should be treated. My mother told me what's supposed to happen on a date, how a guy's supposed to act. These things are red flags. Don't do this, all of the signs. I was prepared because I was parented.
Right.
Everybody is so hooked up on the male-female dynamic and this, that, and the third. A parent is a parent is a parent. If you are a real parent, by definition, your kid will be ready for the world. That's it. 2 + 2 is 4. And so that is why I feel like we have so many young men and women that are just either way too violent in their relationships or way too easily led in their relationships because no one was parenting them. And that is the issue here.
Yeah.
And that is what has to change. There's way too many people with children that are completely selfish. All they care about is their happiness. And to them, their kids is just getting in the way of their happiness.
Right.
Yeah.
So they put them off to the grandmother, or they take them over their sister house, or they do this, that, and the third. And the kids are just running around doing whatever they want, and then they grow up and don't know what to do.
Or just leave them. But you have to want, once you have children, you got to want them.
Yeah.
And you can't be, your wants and desires should go somewhere else. Because God put them in your care. They're not yours. They're his. And they come through you to help get them ready for the world. But their needs and everything should come first. If you have kids and that doesn't change you to want to put them ahead of yourself, that's the first clue that you are not a good parent.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And I wanted to just clear up that when I said that, I didn't mean just all, you know what I mean?
I know
all
you
single
don't
mothers.
mean it, but
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Yeah.
I just didn't agree that it was even a factor. I think it's because like I said, whether you have a man or a father or a mother in your life, or the kids that are raised by their grandparents, some of the
That's
most
right.
exceptional human beings walking the earth.
That's
so what I'm
real
saying
talk.
is, it has nothing to do with that. That's the same way somebody could adopt a child and that child come out to be the next president.
That's
It's
right.
about the parenting. It's not about the combination of mother and father. It's not any of that. Whoever is there. Even if you get dropped off over a friend's house and your mama never come get you no more, the friend could raise you to be an incredible human being.
They really
Somebody, one person can raise somebody to be a good person, but you
Right.
cannot be selfish.
Right.
Cannot.
And that is the issue. That's why we got all these
agree
knuckleheads
with
running
that.
around. They were left to run around. And they were left to their own devices. And their device was a cell phone.
And they don't have any guidance.
And
Yeah.
the guidance is on the cell phone.
No
and
guidance.
whoever's talking to them on this, as they flip through, is nothing but a bunch of other idiots who weren't raised properly.
But that's programming your subconscious mind.
That's
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Because you
it's,
got to get something.
it's a vicious cycle.
It's very
God.
sad.
But just to end this off, I encourage you to look up this story so that you can know the details
Bless
and
your heart,
understand and look into the mother of this young girl, and
her sister.
her sister is
brother.
struggling. the survivor's guilt is real, y'all, and it's just send your prayers and encouragement to this family, and and make sure that you're having conversations with the young women in your life to let them know that even when you say no to somebody, like for me, I've always used the tactic of I'm with somebody or I'm in love or I'm married or something. Make it about the fact that you're not on the market, because if you're on the market and you're saying no, that's different for them. Usually if you say you're with somebody, that'll help it, and it's not just you. Just that's the rule for me. For me, I always say I'm with somebody because it's easier for them to be like, oh, that's why you're not interested, because I can lean on that and say, yeah, I mean, but I'm in love and I'm loyal like that, and then that way their ego doesn't get bruised. Like, she would have went with me. But these are the things. This is what I have figured out over the years, because I used to just say no, I'm not interested, but that went badly for me. So I had to really think this through. What's the safest way to get out of this? And I think it's very important for all the women, mature women, to have these conversations with their younger siblings, their cousins, any young woman, to help navigate this, because it's an ongoing thing. Guys have been coming up to me since puberty, since before puberty. I was a pretty little girl. I can't do nothing about it. But because of that, I have had years of navigating the ego of boys and men.
And I went so far, I used to wear wedding rings.
I was going to ask that.
I used to wear a wedding ring sometimes.
That is an option, too.
I don't want to be bothered when I go to health club. Let me put this on.
Or a club
and
or
I
anything.
Just be
somebody's
like,
birthday.
This is
off the market.
They will cuss you out. Yeah. I've had it done.
So other tactics, because I really want for young women to know.
Well,
that's really the only one.
That's it.
That's really the only one. The point of the tactic is the ego. You're up against, as the woman in that situation, you're up against his ego, especially if he's not alone. If his friends are with him or something, he definitely needs to be able to walk away like, she would have taken me if she didn't have a boyfriend, if she wasn't engaged, if she wasn't married. It has to be that. If it's not that and it's just them, you gonna have a problem. And depending on the guy, it can get, as we have seen through this terrible story, it can cost you your life. So it's not, and it's never okay or smart for girls to laugh at a guy or say, get out of here, you've lost your mind. You come at a guy like you are putting your life on the line. And I've seen girls do it, and that's just nonsense. But once again, that comes back to an older woman not telling them, where was your mother at? Because your mother should have told you. You do not say or laugh at a man in public like that, because now, unless you got a gun on you or something to protect yourself, it's gonna get out of order.
Unless you conceal and carry and say no, and then do one of these numbers, and they get it and walk away, that's different. But if you're not,
we're gonna move on, y'all. We talked about this way too long. We gotta move on. So we're gonna move on to the Ask Mama questions, but first we're gonna do the Black-owned spotlight. These are Black-owned businesses that we want to spotlight and encourage you to venture out to if you're in the Chicagoland area. And I'm sure that we will probably have some businesses that are outside of Chicago too. We'll try to spread it out for you guys, but we're from here, so we start with our own. But my Black-owned business this week is actually a barbershop. It's called Reggie's Barber Emporium. A few guys that I know, this is their go-to place, and it's downtown. It's 111 North Wabash, Suite 704, and it's a cool little place. very old school-esque, barbershop, and all the black men I know seem to love the place. And so if you're a guy and you're looking for a new barber, I'm sure you can find one at Reggie's Barber Emporium.
All right.
Mama?
My black-owned business is called Cleo's Southern Cuisine. Good food, Southern. It's at 4247 South Cottage Grove. And check them out when you're in the area.
All right. My business is coffee, hip hop, and mental health.
Oh.
It is, and they also have a coffee shop and a merch shop in Lakeview. It is called Normalized Therapy Cafe at 1051 West Belmont Avenue, Chicago, Illinois.
Nice.
Great name.
All right, y'all. We're going to move on now to the Ask Mama questions. This question this week is actually from me because, like many of us, millennials and Gen Zers, our lives and our hearts were kind of wrecked this weekend as we watched the HBO documentary. What's it called? Woo, this hurt my heart.
Quiet on the Set.
Quiet on the Set. So Quiet on the Set is a documentary about the kids, the stars of Nickelodeon's top shows, and featuring a story about Drake Bell that just took me out. It took me out. And it's about SA, the treatment of these children was diabolical and calculated and allowed for years and years and years by a bunch of adults who all should be in jail for looking the other way. I believe that looking the other way is a criminal offense, and they should be put in jail right along with the predators. Also, Nickelodeon not doing background checks, letting literal SA offenders of children, they have a background in these kinds of crimes, and they were allowed to work with children at Nickelodeon for decades. And the thing is this, is that we all know that the entertainment industry is full of these stories. However, I'm really tired of people saying, well, that's how the entertainment industry is. It's not how it has to be. And I am so sick of that. Like, it's a cost to fame. It doesn't have, this does not have to be the cost. You know how sick that is to say that children being abused, women being abused, that this is a price that should be paid for fame and fortune.
Like it's just the way.
Like it's just the way, and there's no changing it or whatever. It's like you can't even hold on to your childhood no more. Because now I can't look at these shows. I don't ever want to see a glimpse of all that.
Nope.
And I used to watch all that every time it was on. I saw every episode.
It was like religion.
It was like
religion for us.
It was like
Rugrats,
our Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
And now I don't want to see a second of that, because it's wrapped up in this horrible, horrible crime against these children.
Yep.
Well,
So, what did you think about the documentary?
I think they need to make an example out of these producers, directors, everybody that was in control. They need to make an example out of them and make it so, give them so much time behind bars that the next person that tries something like this will really think twice about doing this to kids.
So let's just be specific though, right quick. The trial, that all of that is over. The main dude that did SA to Drake spent 16 months in jail and then got out and then was allowed to work with children again. The other guy that did something to some kids, he went to jail for a few months and he got out. He did not receive another job, so to speak, at this time, I guess, but not. My point is that also during these trials, the adult actors that work with these kids literally wrote letters to the judge to make sure that this Brian Peck dude, who is the one who assaulted Drake, they sent in letters basically saying that this little boy tempted this man.
Yeah, they did.
He tempted him, and that's why this happened. So what I am saying is that not only did these guys get off with a slap on the wrist, as far as I'm concerned, but also these actors were allowed to get away with this. They sent these letters in, went on with their careers, never apologized to these kids, and they just out here.
I know what happened in the trial. What I'm saying is they should have, maybe I should say that. They should have made an example out of these people who did this to these children, because then that would curtail this from continuously happening. Because we don't know right now if it's not going on right now today. I have no idea. But had they made an example out of them and punish them to the fullest extent of the law, maybe these kids would be safe. And the parents have some accountability. I'm sorry, because what I saw, I wish you would tell me I couldn't go in here with my child.
But
I'm going to be everywhere my child is. You wouldn't be able to keep me off the set. You wouldn't be able to shut me up. I would watch you until my eyes fell out. And so I hold a lot of their parents accountable for what happened to these children.
The issue is that there were parents who did that and their children were fired from the show. What I'm saying is none of that matters. They will always just move on to the next kid and scare all the other kids from saying anything, which is what they did. It's a cycle. And the point is that when people get into this, the parents are too many times living through their children. So they're making all these excuses and allowing people to just take their kids because they just want to be rich and famous. They want to live through their children, and the children become the breadwinners in the family. So now that child is under immense pressure to keep things going, to never say no, go along to get along. It's all inclusive. And if you step out of line, if your parent is a problem, you're just fired and they move on.
It's not up to the children. They're babies. They can't make the choice. I still believe it is up to the parents. I don't care if every parent does it. Then it's like a boycott.
We're saying the same thing.
If every parent does
what
it,
I'm saying
it'll
is
stop.
That mechanism is not in place for them to all get together and control what happens to their kids. For me, because there's nothing in place that 100% protects children, they should not be in this entertainment industry. I don't believe that any kids, none of this stuff, take all of these shows off the air and just run cartoons. Have cartoons. No more of these TV shows with these kids. I don't want to see another child on a movie or a TV show or nothing. I don't believe in it anymore because you're never going, if you can't create a safe space, which you can't, because all y'all care about is the bottom line, is money. That's how these dudes and these women infiltrate this industry, because all you care about is money.
Right.
So you looking at the money and they looking at the kids. And that's just it.
Yeah.
So I believe kids shouldn't be in this industry at all, period.
This is what, I've always thought about this, and some people may call me a conspiracy theorist, but we talk about living in a democracy, but I think a majority of the American people act like, or are operating as if it's a dictatorship, as if they do not have a voice. The power lies in us. It's going to start with legislation. It has to be a law that protects kids, piggybacking on what Melly said, to make it so where there is no wiggle room and weasel room for you to weasel your way out of abusing a child.
Right.
You're going, I don't give a how much money you have. But it goes back to voting. We have to get these things in writing, or it's just going to continue to happen. But when you got the huge conglomerates and everybody's in bed with one another, and the bottom line is money, it's going to be hard to do. But there's something that has to be done, and I think it has to be at the legal level.
There's a lot of laws already in place. But they're not. Nobody is sitting there making sure that the kids are protected. That's what I'm saying. Like, the laws exist. There's certain time limits that they're supposed to work. They go over them. They're always supposed to have somebody watching them that's doesn't belong to anybody else but the kid, and is always watching and always. But those people have turned out to be predators that they're hiring to watch the children. So because, like I said, there's no way to protect them. No real concrete way to protect them, because you're always trying to make money off of them. Anytime you're trying to make money off of the children, you are not looking at their best interests all the time. There's just no way. And that's why I believe that there should not be any child actors. I don't care how good they are. Yes, I love Macaulay Culkin, and Home Alone is my truth.
It's nostalgic.
But
yeah,
I could have watched that as a cartoon and been fine.
Right.
It would have been my favorite cartoon.
Yeah.
I still believe the parents had a power, but they're also greedy and are doing this for money.
That's what I'm saying.
If they came together, they could stop it.
But
because if the parents all said, we're not leaving our children alone with anyone, we're going to be
Mama,
there.
you said that. What I'm saying is, I said that cannot be controlled. We already went, like I'm saying, we already went through. It can't be controlled because parents, just like the other adults in this situation, are led by greed.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's never gonna be. You're never gonna find. That would be like saying, let's all live in peace. You're never gonna find a group of random parents that all of them are good people that aren't trying to use their kids for fame and fortune. It's not going to happen. There's way too many of them that are so focused on living through their children, and that's why, I'm sorry, it just still comes back to the point. They can't be protected. In a perfect world, of course, you'd want the parents to protect them, but they can't be protected. We have proven it decade after decade. There has never been a time where all the parents got together and said, we're going to watch out for our kids.
I'm saying is they could. I didn't say
Mama,
they were.
I heard you say that.
But they could.
That's not possible, though.
But
we know it.
If they would come together, form some type of union with the parents, and they all watch their kids, they could curtail this. But because of greed and all the other things, I know they're not.
That's all but we're saying the same thing. I just don't want to keep repeating it. What I'm saying is that kids shouldn't be in this, period.
Wouldn't happen to me.
That's it. The parents are not going to galvanize. That's not on the table because too many of them care about fame and fortune.
That's unfortunate.
So there is no other alternative for me except for shutting this whole thing down and letting these kids wait until they're 18 to get in this industry.
That's not going to happen either. It's just it's not going to happen.
that could happen legislatively.
Yeah.
That actually could
Make
be
it illegal.
legislated. That's what I'm saying. It has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do. It's not going to be like opinion based or like, oh, these parents
It's a
agree
lot
with
of money.
this, that, and the third. Legislation could put it in place and say, if you're not 18, you can't be in this, and it would be
Yeah.
over with.
Yeah.
One piece of legislation could end all of this predatory SA going on in Hollywood.
It's sick. It's sick.
Jeez Louise.
Let's move on to the next question. What you got, Lamar?
All right. Today is an episode,
It's
you guys.
sick.
Woo.
Lot.
Okay. My daughter is 16 years old. I just found out because of an illness, she is not my biological child. I have decided to divorce the mother. Should I tell my daughter now or later? I'm not her biological father.
Well, that's a rough case, but since you are divorcing, I don't see why you wouldn't tell her you're not her biological father, but you love her just the same. None of this is her fault. She's totally innocent, and none of this is really his fault. He didn't know this wasn't his child. I would tell her. I mean, it's been in the dark long enough. Not telling her, I don't know what that would accomplish. Unless he's trying to wait, if she's got an illness and you think it will cause too much stress right now. I get that. That could be possible. She could be sick and he don't want to tell her right now. But I would tell her as soon as possible. If the illness, if she gets better, or as soon as she gets better, I would let her know what is going on and that I'm not her biological, but I am her bonus parent.
So that was a question I was going to ask. Who was ill? But I definitely believe that you should definitely tell her. And you're her father regardless. So it really doesn't matter. But I think that she's old to know that you're not my biological daughter, but I still love you no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't think that would hurt anything. I mean, it's going to be painful enough that you and the mother are divorcing. But that happens and love is still there. Tell that girl that's not, you're not her biological father. I think you should.
I mean, she's 16, so she understands the world. She understands relationships. She's, that's way more of a mature age than it would be trying to tell a 7-year-old or something like that. I think that she's going to need a real reason why you're leaving, and the truth is the real reason. And that is going to help her understand what's happening. And the biggest deal with divorce is understanding what's happening. Yeah. If you're too young to understand, that's when it hurts, and that's when you're kind of like freaked out and you don't like, what's going on? I don't understand this. That's the worst feeling in the world. But if you're old enough to really get it, then I think you're owed the truth. And that will only help her understand, because you also have to explain that even though I found this out, I still love you. You are still mine, blah, blah, blah. Reiterating this because that's going to be her first thought. Like, so you're leaving because you don't want nothing to do with me, or it's just my mom. You have to explain that for the betterment of your relationship in the long run.
Yeah. And to help her forgive her mother.
Right. Well, that's not up to him. Yeah. That's going to be the mother's job to figure that out, because he can't do anything about that, because she got this whole ball rolling. Yeah. And that's unfortunate, but yeah, she gonna be upset for a while.
Oh yeah, I think he can be a buffer though, a little bit, at least some support for the daughter.
How you say it and everything, but it's like at the same time, for the most part, that's on the mother to figure out how to talk to her daughter about that. It's really not on him. Wouldn't put that on. It's just hard enough for him.
That's rough.
So So yeah,
Ooh,
we
mama.
hope everything works out, and
Yikes.
we'll keep y'all in our prayers because that's
Sweet,
really
baby.
messed up.
It is messed
Yes,
up.
it is.
Let's move on to the next question. Okay, I have 2 adult sons that I love with all my heart. I just got word that one son told the other that his mysterious girlfriend was actually a guy that he's been dating for 2 years. It hurt because he felt he couldn't tell me. What should I do?
He's dating a man. He thought it was a girl.
The mother thought it was a girl.
Wait a minute.
I'll read it again.
Yeah, you got to ride that back.
Well, it's not my question.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 adult sons that I love with all my heart. I got word that one son told the other that his mysterious girlfriend was actually a guy that he's been dating for 2 years. It hurt because he felt he couldn't tell me. What should I do?
Oh, wow. So he's dating a guy.
And he didn't tell her.
He didn't tell
That's
us.
it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just tell him you know, and that it doesn't matter. It's his life. You can date whoever you choose to date, and I would just tell him, I wish you felt comfortable enough to tell me. That's about it, because he's grown, and you get to date who you date. Period. That's it.
Mm-hmm. I would not tell him that I knew if I was the mother.
Oh.
And the reason why is because it would be a breach of trust between the 2 sons.
Oh, the 2 brothers. I get
Yeah.
it.
Be outing him
Right.
Oh,
before
I
he was
get
ready
that.
to
Right.
be outed.
Yeah, I forgot about the brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like he felt more comfortable telling the brother for some reason. Maybe he felt like there was some reason why he didn't feel comfortable with telling the mother.
Right.
I don't know if he didn't feel comfortable. I think there's levels to this. Like, one of my friends who came out to his family, he started with his sibling.
Mm-hmm.
And it was easier to start
Yeah.
with the sibling. He had every intention of telling his mom and his dad and everything, but a lot of times you start with your sibling. I don't think it was a sense of, I think it just hadn't gotten to her yet. He tested the waters with his sibling. And I'm pretty sure the next stop was probably the mother.
Yeah.
And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about this a little more, I can't imagine the mother not already knowing what her child is.
She
I mean,
probably
let's
does
just
know.
be real.
She probably
'Cause
does.
And hasn't said
If that was
anything.
my
Yeah.
child,
Yeah.
I believe you me, I would already have known.
But he could
Yeah.
be very masculine.
It don't
doesn't
matter.
matter.
Wow.
That's his mama,
Yeah.
and
That she
I
know.
bet you money that lady already knows. He can maybe want to think she don't, but she already knows what her child
But
is.
either way,
I believe that.
Either way, I think that it's not like a rare thing to start with your sibling.
Yeah, I don't
And
think
then
so.
build up your courage to
Yeah.
tell the rest of your family. Because first of all,
Yeah.
usually that's the easiest person to tell.
Yeah.
So when you have a big secret, whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's easier to tell a sibling first, or your best friend, or
Yeah.
whoever, somebody that's right in your age group and in your comfort level.
Yeah.
You tell the easiest person first.
I definitely would
But
have
it's
told
been-
my sister.
It's been
Yeah.
2 years. That's a wow.
Yeah.
His mother already knows.
You know what I mean? But I understand.
You can't control it.
I feel that if, for
I
instance,
wouldn't
for
take
my
it offense.
situation, right, for like a personal situation, if okay, so let's have this story,
But see, you the only child too.
right? And I was outed, pretty much. I was
By who?
by a police officer who was also a lesbian.
A
She just
police?
outed. Yes.
Wait a minute.
I
At
was a
school?
part. I was a part of this program when I was younger called Police Explorers, right?
Okay.
And so it was like a mentorship.
I
with
remember
police.
that. I didn't
Yes.
sign up for that.
My mama
I
signed me
didn't
up.
like the police even then. I was like, I don't don't want to do that.
Right?
No.
No,
I don't want no ride along. I don't want
the
nothing to
police.
do with that.
Right, exactly.
I did not sign that
that's
box.
so
At all.
That's
Right?
it. Go
They
ahead.
had
Go
food.
ahead.
I was like, I'm going.
I know they had little
They
treats.
had barbecues
Yeah,
and
they had
stuff.
stuff.
Well,
It
finish
didn't,
your story.
it didn't convince me.
And so I was talking to her because I felt comfortable with her.
Okay.
About, my feelings. I was like 14, 15 years old. My mom came over and was like, oh, what are you guys talking about? And she was like, well, the cop, when you're gay, things can be hard. And we're just talking about, coming out to your parents. And
She is so terrible.
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
She is
The cop
the worst.
thought you had already. She thought.
No.
I think she did it to rip the Band-Aid off.
She did. She knew
what was going on.
that you hadn't
Oh,
came
that's
out.
Exactly.
She's not a good mentor.
No.
And couldn't
And that's
be a
why
good
you
cop.
don't sign
No.
up for police explorers.
She's not. She's
so,
not a good cop.
when my
either.
mom asked me, I admitted it because I had there was never any, I don't know if I can say this word, homophobic? Can I say homophobic?
Yeah.
Okay. There was never any homophobic conversations in my family ever growing up.
Oh my God.
So I thought, well, surely by now she knows. So I'm just going to let it rip. And it backfired tremendously.
Oh my.
So there is something about the mother. Maybe not about her, but he feels something. And that's why he's not coming out and telling
I
her.
can see maybe she doesn't agree with it,
Right.
but she knows.
Mhm.
Not gonna tell me. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I just think that's always like up in the air. Half the time it's in your head, like because people assume somebody's gonna be super judgmental about
Right.
something, and it turns out no, not really.
They're not.
Like even for me, when I think about my grandfather. He is like this war hero. He's a man's man. He's one of the most exceptional men I've ever been told about because I didn't get a lot of time with him. But he had a brother or a cousin that
a
was
close friend
the
of the
close
family.
friend of the
He grew
family
up
that
with.
a kid he grew up with that was gay.
Yeah.
And in his time, you talking about way back in the day.
Yeah.
And he was just, and it was still one of his best friends because, and it would be, he would be the kind of man that you would think would be homophobic.
Right.
He's a man, he was an alpha male
Yeah.
to
Right.
the throne.
Yes.
But surprise, surprise,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And so I always think about that when I think about this situation of people coming out. You just don't. Sometimes you gotta just give people the benefit of the doubt because
Right.
you never know
Yeah.
what they're gonna respond as because you don't know what's happened in their life.
Right.
I had no idea that my grandfather had this one of his best friends was gay,
Well,
and that's why he don't have no problem with people that were gay. Like you don't know.
And he knew this since this was a little boy.
Right,
So to
but
him, he
what I'm
knew
saying is-
Right.
this little boy has been like this his whole
what
life.
I'm saying is that because of that, you have to give people the benefit of the doubt. You can't assume they're going to judge you. Most of the time, it's a lot more going on in your head than what reality is. And half the time, people don't care nearly as much as you care about even telling your truth. You know what I'm saying? Like you built this whole thing up and they like, oh, okay.
You know what? And it's funny that you bring up grandfathers because my grandfather, when I was about 8 years old, who was in the Korean War, born
My
in
daddy
Mississippi,
was.
born in
Yep, that's
Alabama,
my
lived
grandfather.
in Mississippi.
Yep.
You know,
right.
who I personally think, and then I'm going to get to what he told me when I was that young, but I personally think it's because they had experiences. They traveled the world,
Right.
In that army. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they had different experiences, and I think that opened a lot of their minds. And then, like with your grandfather, he knew him since he was a boy. You know,
Right.
so
They
he
grew
was
up.
a person. You take person for a person's value. My grandfather told me when I was 8, he had 8 or 9. He had a nephew, who was much older than me, of course, elderly, in my mind. And he was like, so-and-so, I won't say his name, is gay, and he does not think that I know. But I know he's gay.
See?
Right.
This was me and him having this conversation. We were in the garage. And he said, see, but he's not brave enough to tell me.
Right.
And he's not brave enough to be who he is.
Right.
And in this life, you got to be brave to be who you are.
Oh, my
Right.
God.
And he left it at that. I was 8 years old. I didn't know what he was talking about.
Oh.
Yeah.
But now as an adult,
That's right.
he saw, my grandson is probably gay.
Right.
Let me put this gem into him. And he might not have even known what he was doing really per se.
bless his
Right.
soul,
But
God.
every time I think about that, and I might get into a situation where I get a little nervous or, a little self-conscious, I always think about that.
You
That's
gotta
one of
be
the
brave.
most alpha men I ever known in my life.
And that's
Right.
what I'm saying. Like, people assume way too much about others. We're, you're prejudging somebody based on really just some carbon copy version of who you think people are. Like, I play music. So, you live that rock star style life. You wild and crazy. I am not. I Netflix and chill. I read books. I make music.
Yeah.
Total opposite of whatever you think in your head. I'm not out here drinking. I don't drink or smoke. I'm not in the clubs. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think overall people need to give the benefit of doubt. You don't know what somebody's reaction is going to be.
Right.
Stop assuming the worst of everybody you meet.
Thank you for the lesson. And the reason why I say that is because I find myself subconsciously doing that with heterosexual black males.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, and I get that.
I will do
understand
that. And that's not fair.
Yeah, because a lot
Right.
of times
They may not
They don't give a care.
because
Right.
guess what? We all went to school with gay kids, black kids, white kids, Latino kids, Asian kids, Indian kids. We went to school with everybody. We grew up with all different kinds of people. You have no idea that the star of the football team was best friends with the boy that loves ballet because they grew up next door to each other. It's just, the world is a bigger place than what we give it credit for.
right.
People come from all over the world, and they are not the worst versions of human beings that you see on TV and you see online and stuff. Like, that's the people online are the smallest group of people on planet Earth.
Right.
These people spewing out hate and all this stuff. You ain't gonna meet it. They in their house.
Come to
They in their
think of
trailer
it.
somewhere eating Cheetos that's
Yeah.
stale.
Not they trailer.
Okay?
And come to think of it, I've never known a mother for real say, I was shocked I found out my whatever
Me
was a
either.
lesbian or
Me
gay.
either.
They already
I think they
know.
all knew.
But
I'm sorry.
denial,
As a parent,
Denial.
Yeah, but that's
They
public
already
denial.
know.
You see what I'm saying? Public
because
denial and
I
internal.
have never seen a parent say, "Oh, I was so shocked. I, found
fathers,
out my son was
the
gay."
daddies be shocked,
but
but not the mothers.
I've never heard that before in my
No.
life,
Me either.
ever.
Me either.
So that's why I believe this woman knows in the first place.
everybody I've ever talked to that told their mama,
It's your mother.
they'd be like, she ain't
They
even seen
saw
shot.
it.
Said, well,
Ooh,
I mean,
baby.
she your mama.
Well,
Come on.
She changed
all
your
ex-
diapers. She watched you from every level.
just
All
never
except
seen it.
one. Because this one over here, baby,
Well, hey.
flipped the script.
Yeah, but that denial is like, the thing I think about denial. There's like a public denial, like in the world, you'd be like, I can't believe this. But inside, in the quiet place inside, where nobody can hear or see, she knew. Right? But she didn't like what she knew. So she made it like, no, it's not true.
Okay.
Yes, it is. So it's that game we play with ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's not real denial. It's this lie that you keep telling yourself. It's just a lie. But that if you telling yourself a lie, that means you know the truth.
Yeah, that's wow.
That's how I feel about that. But yeah, this is
That's a loaded question.
it is.
Yeah,
It's a
it
lot.
is.
But I still think just let it fly, and you have no idea how somebody's gonna react.
Right.
You can't call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't.
Let him come to you, mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay.
What is the next question? Okay. Do you think it makes sense to marry a boyfriend or girlfriend who has already been caught cheating?
Who has already been caught cheating? No. No, because if he's already been caught cheating, he's a cheater. I mean, we in the beginning stages of our relationship. If you can't be faithful in this part, how you going to be faithful 5, 10, 15 years? So, no, sweetheart, I'm sorry, but he's a cheater.
I
Or
think-
she's a cheater. Whoever it is a cheater.
I think a lot of people think the vows, or I think women think the vows are gonna somehow
It's not.
encourage the man to be more faithful, because now he done put a ring on it. Girl, that's just a song.
No.
Period.
It's just a song.
And
Period.
he might use
Stop it.
that as saying,
Because
we're
the
not-
one who wrote the song, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, let's not.
Okay.
He might even use that and say,
Yeah.
we weren't married yet, so I did that.
Good
That's
grief.
what I mean.
But if you want to believe
Yeah.
that a piece of paper makes
Nah.
the difference, okay.
Now we know, dude.
No, just not.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have experienced this in my own personal life where I've had someone say, well, when you married, it's a different situation because,
okay.
you take vows.
Right.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute, though. Because you're telling me that we are exclusively dating and we are supposed to be monogamous to one another.
That's a vow.
That's a vow.
It's a vow.
So what are you talking about? Something that you probably have heard somebody else say, you're just reciting it. You don't really believe it. If you don't make a good boyfriend, a good girlfriend, and you're cheating, you're not going to make a good wife or husband.
Nope.
Now listen, people out there, you're still with somebody who cheated, let's say, because this person is, whoever they're with, that person is still their boyfriend or girlfriend, and they cheated. So you're still with the person who cheated. A lot of people will tell you, we worked through it. We went to therapy. We did this and that and blah, blah, blah. And the reason I did what I did was because I needed to fix some stuff in my life, and maybe I've changed and this, that, and the third. And I feel like couples that do that, I just feel like they just make excuses because they don't want to break up for whatever the reasons are. You could convince yourself to stay with anybody. You can convince yourself to stay with somebody who's in jail. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I just feel like unless you're done with the person, it's really not going to click for you. Like they could do anything to you and you would still make up some excuse to stay with them. So then, you'll probably end up marrying this person because you're still with them as a boyfriend or girlfriend because you cheated on me. We ain't boyfriend and girlfriend, so how we going to get married?
Period. And not only are you still with them, they've asked you to marry them.
Right.
This is the thing. And my
Yeah.
whole thing is, how can you, for me, because once you cheat on me, all trust is out
It's
of the
gone.
door.
It's gone.
And you can never get it back.
No.
How can I marry somebody that I don't trust?
It's the whole basis of your relationship.
A lot
Because-
of people do it though.
But they
It's a
do
lot.
it. That's what I'm saying.
Man.
Like, people do it because they don't want to be alone.
Right.
So you got to be real with yourself.
They
Right.
If
do
you are that person that just don't want to be alone, then stay with them, get married, do what you do.
They're doing
but if you think that person ain't still going to be cheating on you,
Because they
you're
married?
out of your mind.
Please.
A piece of paper is not going to make the difference.
No.
Or because, you don't want, you're worried about what people think. Oh
Right.
well, if we break up, then people gon' think that it's a failure, or they gonna know my. It could be
Okay.
something so simple like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole thing about it is they are reckless with themselves. They're not gonna take care of your body. They're not gonna take care of your health.
Yeah,
They're not
be
gonna take care of
careful.
your well-being because they're not taking care of the health, the well-being, and their own bodies.
So we're all basically saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I just think that you're making excuses to, if this is what you want to just be with somebody. You don't think you can get anybody better. This is what happens. This is what happens when you lower your standards. This is what happens when low self-esteem comes into play, and you don't think that you deserve better because you do. No one deserves, who is loyal, deserves somebody disloyal.
Right.
That's never okay. A loyal partner does not deserve a disloyal partner.
No.
That will never be okay. They do not respect you. Cheating on somebody is the highest level of disrespect other than physical violence.
Yes.
Okay? And so what you're saying is that what you're telling your partner is that that's okay. I still take you back.
And it's
And so
dangerous, too.
now you've set the standard so low in
dangerous.
your relationship.
The bar is on
It's
the floor.
going nowhere. And I mean, but that's on you. If you think that that's all you can get, which is a lie. But if you believe the lie, then you will stay with this person and you will marry this person and you will live out your days miserable with this person.
Always
That is all a
suspect
choice.
and thinking he's cheating and
because
all
he
that
is.
stuff.
And,
It's too
you know,
much.
It's a choice.
Too much.
And you have to live with your choices.
But, it's a lot of people that do. Because if you can't be faithful in the beginning, when everything is great and is new, and my goodness, what are you going to do in 5 years of marriage? What do you think he's going to be doing?
Passing it around.
If he's
it can't
bored
be me.
with you now,
The math ain't mathing.
Nothing.
Okay, so we hope that you enjoyed the questions this week. It was a lot. There's a lot going on in this world, y'all, and we're tackling
people.
it episode by episode. If you would like to ask Mama questions and us questions for next Wednesday's episode, because of course we have episodes every Wednesday, please DM us on TikTok or Instagram at Ask Mama Podcast. Now we're going to move on to my favorite part of the show, the recommendations.
all right.
We're going to start with movie or TV show. Let's start with Lamar.
All right. So my recommendation is called Mind Hunter. It is on Netflix, and it is about the early days of profiling a serial killer.
I saw that. Very good.
Very good.
Ain't it?
Very good.
I didn't see
And there's
that.
2 seasons
You can't
only.
watch that.
Oh,
That's not.
no.
This is not for you, Mom.
Sure ain't.
No.
I'm
Go
at
ahead.
the little
Go
kids
ahead, Lamar.
tape.
Go ahead.
There's 2 seasons. And you could binge it. It's binge worthy.
Oh,
That's all I gotta say. It's a great show.
Yeah. Mama.
Mine too is a Netflix special, but it's something really soft. Shirley Chisholm. It was really good. I love Shirley Chisholm anyway. What a oh my God. I remember as a little girl, she would be on TV, and my mother just loved her voice and how she spoke, along with, of course, Barbara Jordan. But it was a great movie. Netflix, Shirley Chisholm.
All right. This is a new show on Netflix, and it's action, but it's really like a sci-fi type of show. Very, very sci-fi. So if you're not into sci-fi, just kind of leave this one alone. But it's by the guys that did King of Thrones. Like, so it's very, the visuals are big, and it looks really good. You know what I'm saying? Like, visually it looks amazing, and I love all of the characters, and I've just got into it. But I think if you like action and specifically sci-fi, you will enjoy this. It's called Three Body Problem, and it's on Netflix. Just released, so check it out. And yeah, I like it so far.
I've been seeing the thumbnail. I've been curious.
Yeah, I like it so far. So I'm like, okay, let's see where this go. Okay, Netflix. Okay. Let's do books. Mama,
Okay.
what you got?
I have a book by an author, Tom Burrell. He used to be in advertising. The book is called Brainwashed.
Okay.
What a great book it is. I've tried to give this to a couple of males that I know to read. Just a great book. And he used to be in advertising. Burrell Advertising.
Right.
So I think his mind and how he breaks things down is just really good. So if you get a chance, read that book.
All right.
Right.
Lamar.
All right. My book for this week is The Melanin Empath.
Okay.
And it talks about the connection between your being and the cosmos.
Wow.
Empathic people are more like healers.
Amen.
Amen. And, feeling different energies. Like, when you walk into a room and you feel energies
Yeah.
shift. It talks about all that cool kind of sci-fi read in a way.
Nice.
So, yeah, check it out. It's a really good book.
And it's melanin?
The Melanin Empath.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
I'm gonna check that out.
Nice.
All right. So my book is a book that actually was a gift that my mom gave me. It's called The Beautiful Ones, and it's a collaboration of Prince and this guy Dan. I'm gonna mess up your name, Dan Pipenbring. Something like that. It will be on the screen. That's the best I can do. But it's a collaboration of him and Prince, and he did this in-depth interview with Prince, and he was with him like in his final months of his life, and the book has all of these great pictures and notes he wrote, and it's just like kind of having like a diary. Being able to look and see how he was thinking and what he was going through, and it made me feel closer to him, the book. And I think that's pretty amazing for me, because Prince is the reason I play guitar. He's who I first saw with a guitar, and I wanted one after that. And so he's made such an impression on my life, but I never got to meet him or talk to him. Obviously I didn't get to talk to him or tell him how much he meant to me or means to me. But somehow reading this book made me feel connected to him. And it made me see that we had a lot in common.
It's beautiful.
And it's just a really cool book if you're a Prince fan. So let's do music. Lamar, what you got?
My song is by Natalie Cole, and it is called Miss You Like Crazy.
Oh,
Okay.
I love
Classic
that song.
Classic. Yeah.
You like crazy.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Mama,
Love
what
that.
you got?
Of course, I'm old school too. One of the great females, Phyllis Hyman. You know how to love me.
Oh, man.
Measure for measure. Hey! Isn't it? It's her happiest song ever.
Yeah.
You know how to love me. Yeah.
That's
I
a
love
jam.
that because
That's the skating
jam.
ring. That feel like the skating ring.
She's so happy singing that.
love me.
You
Yeah.
know. Oh, let's stop.
Ooh, I love it.
It's a jam.
Oh, bop.
Y'all got all
Yes.
the jams. Well, I'm gonna do an album. I'm gonna keep it with Prince and do musicology.
Ooh,
I've been listening to Ooh It's very funky.
Ooh, it's funky.
It's one of his most funkiest albums to me.
Certainly is.
Musicology, and there's another song on there called Cinnamon Girl that I love, and it's just full of it's just a really cool record, and I have been listening to it a lot lately.
Wow.
So yeah, check out Musicology, Prince. All right, y'all. Those are our recommendations. Once again, we have given y'all some great recommendations.
Really good.
And if you like these recommendations, make sure you go back and watch the other episodes to get those recommendations, because I'm telling you, we have been dishing them out.
We have.
And yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. It was rough to talk about a lot of these things, but like I said at the top, it's very important that we get these things off our chest, and also try to find solutions for the issues that we all have, and understand that everybody is going through. We're going through a lot in this world, but you're not the only one going through. Everybody you see all day long is going through trials and tribulations.
Absolutely, they are.
And I think that if we can remember that, our humanity is connected to one another, and how we treat each other, and what we do in this life.
My God.
To each other.
Yes.
These things matter. You can't just treat people any kind of way.
No.
You can't just say terrible things about people and think it's not going to harm your life in any kind of way. It is.
Don't reap it.
Yep.
And so just try to be a good person, not to get anything out of it, but because it is right.
It's the right thing to do and
It is
be.
right to be a good person.
It is.
It is good to be nice and respectful,
That's right.
loyal,
Yes.
transparent.
Yes.
Right.
Give to somebody else. Give your knowledge, your wisdom to other people. If you don't take time to do that, your life is a waste. I don't care how much money you have, what you think success is. Success really is what you have given to the world, what you have done that is good, that is right, that is positive. That's all that matters. And it's too much negativity going on out here with friends and family. Take care of each other out here.
Be good.
Yeah.
And we'll see y'all next Wednesday on another
right, now.
episode of the Ask Mama podcast. Peace.
Peace.